Welcome back to Discovering Your Mission with Dr. Mordecai. Today, I'm joined by Erika Liodice, Executive Director of the Alliance for Innovation and Transformation, known as AFIT. Erika is a master connector, a creative strategist, and a passionate advocate for empowering change agents across higher education. In this episode, Erika shares her personal mission to change the world by empowering the change makers in it. We talk about her personal journey from corporate marketing to leading one of the most forward-thinking innovation networks in higher ed, and what that means for today's leaders navigating disruption and opportunity. If you're ready to rethink innovation, unlock creativity, and learn how to lead with joy and vision, then this is the episode for you. Greetings, everyone. It's Dr. Mordecai. Thank you so much once again for joining me for Discovering Your Mission with Dr. Mordecai. On today, we have with us Erika Liodice. She leads AFIT, and she's going to talk about AFIT, but she's also going to talk about part of her journey, which is an amazing journey. And we're going to see how much wisdom we can pull from Erika on today. Erika, thanks so much for your time.
Hi, Dr. Mordecai. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to be here.
Thank you. And I tell you, I've been looking forward to this interview. We're going to jump right into it.
Same.
So folks may not know first what it is that AFIT is about, what it is that you do through AFIT. So I just want to level set really quickly so folks will understand. I did an intro, but can you just kind of tell us a little bit about what AFIT does? And then we're going to get into what I think is pretty remarkable. Erika actually wants to lead with the question around her mission. But can you tell us first about AFIT, Erika?
That's a great place to start. And thanks for the opportunity for me to share what AFIT does with your listeners. So AFIT is an acronym that stands for the Alliance for Innovation and Transformation. And we are a small association of higher education CEOs and college presidents like yourself. You're a member of AFIT, Mordecai. And what we do is we bring in thought leaders and world-class organizations from outside of higher ed to inspire innovation and organizational transformation inside higher ed. We have a really cool team learning approach. So when our members come to our conferences, they are coming with a carefully curated team of individuals, and that makes the learning really actionable. So when they get back to campus, they've already done deep dives on what they've learned, and they're ready to take action on what they've learned at our conferences. And the other facet of AFIT that our members really value is our CEO network. So I often hear college presidents and other CEOs say how lonely it can be at the top, especially in this era of such unprecedented disruptive change. So what we've done at AFIT is we've built a really strong CEO network where our members can share ideas, bounce questions off of each other, and navigate these unprecedented times together. So in a nutshell, that's what we do at AFIT.
And you do amazing work, and I definitely want to tell any of the college presidents that are listening, watching this, please consider a membership. We'll be sure to include some information as well in the description. But now this work that you're doing, you're called to do this work, I would imagine, because of your mission statement. So let's lead with your mission statement. What is the mission statement you'd like to share with us, Erika?
So I have to say, Mordecai, it has taken me my entire career to be able to articulate my personal mission. And it was actually in preparation for this very conversation that inspired me to put pen to paper and really try to put it into words. And what I've come up with is that I'm here to change our world by empowering our world's change makers. And what I mean by that is I feel like everybody has the potential to be a change maker. And I really see that so much in our community at AFIT because it's made up of leaders like yourself and your team members. And these are people who want to make the world a better place. They want to lift people out of poverty and give them access to opportunity through education. And so it's really through my role at AFIT and getting to know people like yourself and our other members and watching, having a front row seat to the work that you do that has really helped me tap into this personal mission of mine. I love this work and I feel so very privileged that I get to do this every day.
I love it. That mission statement was so rich. So now that we've heard your mission statement, this is unique. I haven't had a chance to do this. So now we get a chance to work backwards. There's been a whole journey that you've been on professionally that has led you
Yes.
to now leading a work of really being a change agent and supporting, as your mission calls out, the change makers, those that are really advancing economic mobility and transformation in their respective communities. But you didn't start here.
No.
I recall that you actually worked in advertising and marketing
Yep.
and an author. So just kind of walk us through your journey, Erica. How did you get here?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So many folks that I've encountered in higher ed always knew that they wanted to be in higher education. And for full disclosure, I had no idea that my journey was going to lead me to higher education. But looking back on it, I've come to realize that it's been a series of chance meetings and well-timed opportunities that have led me to this moment.
Mm.
So I started out, I went to college at Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is the same town I grew up in. And I graduated in 2003, which was a post 9/11 job market. And at that time, all of the companies were looking for finance majors. And there I was with my shiny new marketing degree. And so most people weren't looking for marketing majors at that time. But fortunately, one company came to campus, a pharmaceutical company, and they were looking to recruit two marketing majors to their organization. And I was fortunate to be chosen as one of them. So I started my career actually in pharmaceutical sales. And looking back on it, that was actually a great place to start a young career, because what I've come to realize is that every position I've held since requires some level of selling. In fact, I'd even make the argument that being a college president requires some level of selling. Would you agree with that?
I would
Selling
agree
your
with that.
vision.
I would agree with that.
Okay. So I thought that was a really powerful place to start my career. I then moved to sales for a technology startup where I was selling then to the pharmaceutical companies virtual reality training software to help train their sales reps. I spent some time working in advertising. As you pointed out, I got to serve as an account executive for some of the world's most recognized brands. And that experience really taught me how to tell a brand story in the marketplace. And so that was a really rich experience, and it exposed me to a number of different industries. So when I was in advertising, I worked for clients in not only pharmaceuticals, but in trucking and home improvement and consumer goods and fashion. So I got exposure to a lot of different industries. All of that to say, I think those experiences really prepared me well for my role at AFIT, because as I mentioned in the beginning, we learn from thought leaders outside of higher education. So my diverse experiences outside of higher education have given me a broad perspective that really inform the work that I do now as the executive director of this organization.
So much is happening in society right now, in the market right now, global realities right now. And so I think one of the unique things, I will, again, to the listeners, watchers, if you're not familiar with AFIT, now's the time to get familiar with AFIT. But really curious to know, Erica, what advice would you have for college educators, university educators, presidents, just educators as a whole right now? You're watching a lot of what you do, you're paying attention to external markets and then coming back and informing higher education. What is it that we would tell us we need to be paying attention to? We need to be watching in order to continue to be effective at the students that we're serving.
Well, one of the terms that's floating around the membership right now that I really love is accessible innovation.
Mm.
And so I'm hearing more of our members talk about accessible innovation. And what that means is that innovation has oftentimes been thought of as something that happens among a select group of people, and it happens kind of behind closed doors in a secret location, and it's a very insular activity. Our members are really moving towards this accessible model in which they're using it to unite their campus communities. They're inviting everybody into that innovation process because they're realizing that it's not just leaders that have the answers or know what the future holds or what we need to do to shape the future. everybody has a valuable perspective that can help us shape the future. So I really would advise for those who are thinking about innovation and what that might look like at their organizations, I would advise you to think about an accessible, inclusive model that invites more people to the table, because I think some of the best ideas come from some of the most surprising places.
What do you think are some of the common challenges that you're watching that these leaders face? Now, I love the term that you just gave us. What do you seem to be? Because you get a unique view
Yeah.
of working directly with these presidents, what they're facing. Any themes kind of are being elevated during this time, and just what advice do you have for how presidents can approach these themes that you're seeing, these emerging themes?
Sure. I mean, a big one that I'm seeing right now is leaders are trying to figure out what to do with AI, right? I'm
Mm,
sure you're asking that question at Community College of Aurora, but this is a topic on so many people's minds, and the impact and implications are, gosh, they're almost hard to comprehend. There's so many opportunities that AI presents, but then there are also many risks and dangers.
mm,
And so the advice that I would give is to create a culture of experimentation,
mm.
because the only way that I think we're going to fully be able to embrace and understand this is to experiment with it and see what kind of guardrails do we really need in place, and where are the real opportunities for each specific organization. And so that's one of the things that some of our members are doing, is an they are modeling that it's okay to experiment with AI. As leaders, they're starting to integrate it into their workflows, and they're creating safe spaces for AI experimentation across their institutions, whether that's using AI in the classroom and showing students how to use it responsibly, or whether it's building it into your workflows behind the scenes to help the institution operate more effectively.
Love it. I love it. You have had an opportunity to serve in so many different facets, travel, get
Yeah.
views in the corporate suites, and now you're helping institutions of higher education to realize, I think, a new level of relevance in society. What are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way that I think that maybe those that are on their climb, they're looking for some encouragement. Maybe it may come in the form of something that you or some things you wish someone would have told you coming along the way. But what are some of those gems that you can share with our audience?
Absolutely. I'll share three. So the first is the power of listening to the people you serve.
Mm,
That was one of the first things I did when I stepped into this role as executive director. I held a listening tour with all of our members, and I asked them all why they continue to renew their membership year after year. And they all told me the same three things, which as a former marketer just made my heart so happy, because it showed me that we have a really strong value proposition. But what it also reinforced for me was the need to make sure that as a leader, we continue focusing on those three things that our members love, and perhaps even enhancing them, rather than trying to go off in too many different directions. We're a nonprofit association. So like a community college, we are limited by our own resources. And so rather than trying to be everything to everyone, it gave me a really clear roadmap of what we could focus on. So I would say listening to the people you serve has served me greatly in this role. The second piece has been something I've learned in this role, which is the power of co-creation.
mm,
That goes really hand in hand with listening to the people you serve. But, one of the things that I kind of feared when I stepped into this role is that here I am leading an association of college presidents, yet I've never been a college president. In fact, I've never worked on a college campus. So I felt this almost imposter syndrome of, how am I going to possibly be able to know what these people want and need? And the cool thing is, by asking you all have told me
mm,
repeatedly
mm.
what you want, what you need, the skills that you need to develop in the future. And so what I have tried to do under my leadership is not create things in a vacuum and force them on the members, but instead co-create them, and making it a really member-centric approach. And I think that's worked really well because the feedback from our programs has showed that the learning is really tightly aligned with our members' needs. And that's what we're trying to do here. And then the third thing I would say is the importance of infusing joy into work. I have had roles in the past where I have felt a pit in my stomach on Sunday night, just dreading going to work on Monday morning. Have you had that too?
Yes. Not
Yes.
here. Not here.
Not here. Caveat for anyone who's listening, not here.
Not here.
Not here. But I've had that. I call it the Sunday night blues. I'm sure probably most people who are listening can relate to the Sunday night blues. And so when I was chosen to be AFIT's executive director, I vowed that I would not inflict the Sunday night blues on the people who work for me or the people in our membership. And so I've really tried to build and foster a culture of joy. And I'm so proud. I feel like I have accomplished that. I see a lot of smiles and laughter on our team, our staff at AFIT, but also within the membership at the events that we host. I'll just share a quick story with you. One of the things we do at Summer Institute is we have a team pride contest, and our members have taken that to like this unbelievable level. So what that means is we challenge people to when they come to the conference, we challenge them to dress in attire related to that year's learning theme. And I'm thinking back to this past year's Summer Institute. There was a group out of Arizona, and their theme was Innovation Strikes. And so they had a whole bowling theme. They set up their team table with a long bowling alley, and one of their teammates actually dressed up as a life-size bowling pin and was walking around the conference as a bowling pin. And I just smiled thinking, this is the culture of joy I have always envisioned creating for an organization. And I'm just so happy to see it come to life, and our members they take it and they run with it. And I just love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That is so awesome. I won't be dressing up as a bowling ball, just let the record reflect, or a bowling pin, but I have a heart for those that can. I'm pretty.
So challenge accepted. That this is now my new, actually, so scrap my personal mission that I said earlier. My new mission is to get you to dress up, if not as a bowling pin, to get you to dress up as something at a Summer Institute.
Something. Yeah. Good
something.
luck with that. That will be an innovation.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Let me ask you this. I want to see if I can get two more questions in here. And that is, many leaders in their own way face their own version of a writing block. You've been a writer. You've written for National Geographic and also read Great Outdoors. You've written for as an author. Curious to know, I can only imagine that, and I really was reflecting on this. There's leaders that experience their own version of writing, writer's block, not from a sake of trying to create a publication, perhaps that creativity within their own approach to leadership. This can impact innovation and an ability to create the kind of environment that you talked about that is necessary in order to see transformation. Is there some tips, tools that you have learned and mastered in being a writer, and how to overcome those writer's blocks that you can maybe share with the watchers, listeners, that can help them along their own leadership journey?
I love that question, Mordecai, because we all struggle with that, right? Like blank page syndrome. Where do you start? Where do you go next? Sometimes getting started is the hardest part, but I would encourage folks to, if you're feeling stuck, look outside the bounds of your comfort zone. Look outside the things that are familiar to you. Expose yourself to something completely unexpected, something that may not even feel like it has anything to do with the problem at hand, because sometimes the most seemingly unrelated dots can inspire those aha moments. So, maybe, if you're a college president, pick up a book written by, a scientist at NASA, or somebody who's a thought leader in a field totally unrelated to yours, and expose yourself to someone else's world and see how they're solving problems and challenges and what kind of solutions they're coming up with. And then try to force yourself to say, okay, how could this translate to my work? I think some of those unexpected connections can lead to some really rich, unexpected insights. And then one thing that's always worked for me is stepping away from the blank page, getting outside. I'm a big hiker, going on a hike, spending time in nature, getting away from the problem and letting your brain work on it in the background while you're out enjoying something else that takes your mind off of it. I think that that's sometimes when the best ideas strike, right? You know, if you've ever, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but like in the shower, like you have a great idea and but there's nowhere to write it down because your hands are sudsy, right? It's because you're relaxed, you're not thinking about it. And that's when that allows the good ideas to flow.
I love it. I love it. Last question for you, Erika. What excites you the most as you think about the future of AFIT and the future for yourself personally?
Oh, such a great question. I'm most excited about a change that I've been seeing at AFIT that we're going to start to really lean into more this year. The change that I'm referring to is, you know, I've been with the organization 10 years now. And when I first started with the organization, I saw members would come to our summer institute, they would learn together, and then they would leave and they would go implement what they had learned. Now I'm seeing, so it was kind of a very, almost like insular process. Now I'm seeing members fly to each other's campuses and organizations and learn from each other. And so there's a really organic collaboration happening across the membership that I love. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing, we're just in a few weeks here, we're launching our new strategic plan. And a big component of that strategic plan is building communities of practice to really foster more opportunities for collaboration across the membership. And that really excites me, both professionally and personally, because as I said, I think our members are some of the people who are going to change our world for the better. And I think that this work that we're doing is at the heart of that. So as I said, I'm excited both personally and professionally about the promise that that holds.
Erika, I have enjoyed this time with you. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdoms here. We appreciate you.
It went too fast. I didn't get to ask you anything about yourself, Mordecai. You made this conversation just fly by.
Excellent time with you, my friend. Take care.
Thank you, Mordecai.
What a vibrant and thought-provoking conversation with Erika. Her journey, her mission, and her leadership at AFIT are a powerful reminder of how innovation truly begins with empowering others. Now let's take a moment to reflect on 3 key takeaways from today's episode. First, number 1, innovation should be accessible. Erika introduced us to the concept of accessible innovation, the idea that innovation should involve every voice on campus, not just behind closed doors. It's about making innovation a shared, inclusive process that taps into the creativity of entire communities. Secondly, Erika talked about leading through listening and co-creation. Erika's leadership style is rooted in listening and co-creating with the people she serves, whether it's through member feedback, collaborative learning or experiences, or strategic programming. She has nurtured AFIT into a community that is responsive, relevant, and transformational. Last but not least, third, she talked about infusing joy into the work. In an era of burnout and change fatigue, Erika reminded us of the power of joy. Whether it's laughter at a conference or removing the Sunday night blues from your team's culture, joy is a force multiplier for creativity, innovation, and engagement. Erika, thank you for your time and your insights and your example. You've given us so much to reflect on and take back into our own leadership practices. To our listeners, our viewers, if you found this conversation as powerful as I did, please subscribe, share, and help spread the mission. Let's continue building communities that innovate, transform, and serve. And for more leadership insights, interviews, and inspiration, head over to itsdrmordecai.com. Until next time, stay purpose-driven, stay bold, and keep discovering your mission.